Hello, everyone. So here's my speech. The United States federal government, what comes to mind when you think of the government that exists in our country? Does you think of it as a source of hope, as a source of change? Does it elicit these images of grandeur, of liberty, or does it seem something that's not really productive and it's, well, not useful? And it doesn't quite work because the ideas that you have personally can't be worked in a change and can't work very well, and ultimately your elected officials can't get anything done. This is the case in the US Congress. There's a lot of disconnect between congressional leaders and the electorate. This is a problem. And for your generation, for you and me, it's a problem that's going to continue. And as the younger generation of college kids, of young Americans, it's important that we take our role in changing the electorate seriously. There are tons of people in the United States Congress rather, that are old. They've been there a long time. And for us to take advantage of making America the best it can be, I'd like to propose to you this morning that we amend the United States Constitution to enforce congressional term limits. There are 3 reasons why I think congressional term limits should be worked into the United States Constitution. The first being to prevent the abuse of power. As I kind of alluded to earlier, there are a lot of, well, to put it nicely, old people in Congress. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, is in her 70s. Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, also 60s, 70s years old. They're quite old people. And not only is this an issue, it would prevent the abuse of power, like I said earlier, but also the founders thought it was a good idea. Thomas Jefferson, according to the Harvard Department of Government, Thomas Jefferson warned that every danger that might arise to American freedom by continuing in office too long. He warned of the dangers. He thought it was going to be a problem. And it was actually part of our first Constitution in the United States, Articles of Confederation. There were congressional term limits written into that piece of legislation. And 15 states already have legislative term limits. Those states, they've already put in legislative term limits so that people can't serve in their respective House or Senate too long. Second reason that we need to impose congressional term limits is to make Congress more productive. Imagine this. If you had less time to do something, wouldn't it invigorate you in you a sense of purpose, a sense of getting stuff done? I think that's a problem we have in Congress today. Is it so hard to get things done because people think they're going to be there their entire life? But that is not the original purpose. That's why it would be huge if we imposed these limits, and it would make Congress so much more productive. Things would get done in our legislative branch to not only help all Americans, but younger ones like you and me. On a personal note, I am good family friends with Kevin McCarthy. He's the House Majority Leader currently, and I was blessed to have lunch with him one day during my senior year of high school. And he reinforced to me the idea that it is so much easier to say why you oppose a bill as opposed to why you're in favor of it. And I think that this problem would definitely be solved with congressional term limits because we'd have both parties coming together over reasonable, good legislation, and we'd get things done. Third point for why we need congressional term limits. It would make the younger generation more involved. If you had new, fresh faces in Congress, people would be more likely to get out and vote. They'd be more likely to understand what politics are themselves. It would force politicians to create enthusiasm and understanding and political prowess in the younger generation, and that is huge. Now, some people would say a rebuttal to this argument would be that it would limit the effects of governing and it would wipe good people out of office. But I say if it would actually wipe good people out of office, wouldn't the good people, if there were these limits, try to create more good people to rally around their cause so that when their limit was up, it was time for the next person to step into that place in Congress? So, in conclusion, I hope this idea sparks your interest and the love of America. I hope that it reinvigorates a purpose that you as a young American can make a difference. And if we vote for congressional term limits and inspire congressional and constitutional change, I think it will change the America of the future for both you and for me. Our founding document, the U.S. Constitution, begins with we the people, and I think it's time for we the people to make this change. Thank you.